Legend of Total War here, and today we've got a Rating Your Doomstack video covering a Cult of Sotek Horned One Doomstack. So this army here is specifically Cult of Sotek. I would not advise doing this with any other faction because there's so much stuff in here that only the Cult of Sotek can utilize. So firstly, you've got 10% physical resistance from Sotek manifests, and you've got these unique to Cult of Sotek red-crested skink chiefs. So this is one that was obtained from this sacrifice. And there's one of 3 different traits that you can get. This one get Legendary Renown, which is the best one I think for this. So providing physical resistance, charge bonus, and weapon strength. So these guys here are boosted like absolute crazy. And then he's got 6 banners, 5 of them being the armor piercing weapon damage plus 30, and weapon strength plus 20%, and then the totem pole of destiny. So he's really done a good job in boosting. Not perfectly experienced, but apparently with Horned Ones, this is what he said anyway, that the soul bond applies even if they're not at rank 7, so apparently it's bugged. So that's funny. So they've all got that applied. So there's still like 1 or 2 points of melee attack that they could do, but not that big of a difference. Anyway, let's jump into this battle here. And let's talk about this. Okay, so this particular Doomstack is fairly difficult to rate. I've got a bit of a aversion when people send me in cavalry-based Doomstacks, because I've covered them in the past, and they're the most difficult and most controversial to cover, because I basically dump all over them, because they're not good. They're not good. But the problem is that some people like certain units, and then I, of course, dump on them for being shit, and then they either go, "Oh, Legend, you just don't know how to use it right," or some other excuse. And that's fine if you want to say that kind of stuff, but the problem is, most of the best Doomstacks in the game, one of the clear definitions of a Doomstack is ease of use. And there's 2 ways to go about these battles as well. There is the hero hammer way, which is where you basically don't even use the army, which is what I've done in the past, and you just use the wizards to destroy the entirety of the enemy forces, which I've tested out, and I did that against this army. I used just these 3 wizards essentially to waste all of their ammunition, used Chain Lightning and Flock of Doom, obliterated them, and barely even needed to use the Horned Ones at all, because their biggest problem is going to be dealing with like all of this anti-large and missile units. Even with all the resistances, they're still going to take tons of damage, right? So I got the army losses on them when half of their army was still on the battlefield, and I barely took any damage. But that's not testing the Doomstack, because it's not a saving a disaster battle. We're here to rate this, right? And then the other way to go about it is to YOLO in micro like fucking crazy, which is so difficult to do because things devolve into an absolute mess. But then you get bad results. So you do it the easy way, get good results, but it doesn't test the Doomstack, and then you do it the hard way, get bad results. But you did test the Doomstack, and then people be like, "But you didn't do it right." So anyway, let's just jump in here and see how we go. So I think that's the big problem with cavalry-based Doomstacks, is that it's not clear to everybody that it's powerful. Some people will look at it and just like cream in their pants because they just see high numbers and they think that that's all that matters. Oh my god, 127 weapon strength. It's like, whatever, that's great and everything, but stats are not that important sometimes. Utility is more important than stats. At least in my opinion. So there are units in the game that just have so much utility, and it doesn't even matter if like their melee attack is 5, right? Because there's hard limits into how much damage you can sort of dish out at any given time, and like how many entities are fighting at any given time. There's strategic limits, and just if you just judge a Doomstack just based on the numbers that you see here, like if don't actually fight the battle and just look at the number and be like, "Oh, look at that number, 10 out of 10. Let's move on." No, that's just the worst way to go about it. You got to test it out in terms of its utility, which makes cavalry ones difficult to deal with because there's, like I said, there's different ways of fighting it, good ways and bad ways, and some people hate the bad ways. Oh, that's boring to fight it that way, and it is, but you know, that's how you get results. And Doomstacks are result driven, not I have flavor. Flavor's got nothing to do with it. Alright, so what we want to do here, let's set up a couple of control groups, and we want to throw him in first and start getting these guys over here. So yeah, what we're going to do is YOLO in, because I'm going to test the Doomstack. There's no way to go about this in which we're going to walk out of this with like Like, full health. It's 100% impossible doing it this way. But, we might be able to win. And what we want to do is go wide to begin with, wrap around them. Don't know if that comment did lots, I didn't see. The trees obstruct us as well. Another thing to point out, like, he chose an appropriate enemy for this test, because this is actually a very difficult enemy to deal with. With all these flying units, Eltharians there, and reinforcements coming from all over the place, a small map. All this stuff really matters, and I think a lot of people don't think about that a lot of the time. Okay. Really need to be getting into those missile units. Yep, okay, we can pop down some debuffs here maybe. These guys here have got some cool abilities, but they're really vulnerable. So I want to be kind of careful with them. Okay, we got a couple of units that are pretty badly damaged. We've got to remember to keep mobile. Don't stay in one place fighting for too long, or else it'll be a big problem. And try to keep track of it. I don't usually look at the map. It is on very hard battle difficulty. Okay, we're sort of done with this area here. Let's move into this spot. I need to sometimes you gotta overcast it because it gives extra range and I just can't get them there fast enough. And the thing is with this battle here, it's gonna happen really quickly, comparatively speaking. And we just gotta dish out damage quick. Because we got enemy reinforcements coming in and they're gonna fucking wreck us if we're not careful. Right, you really need to be taking out enemy heroes. Right, these two units here are really badly damaged. Try to get them to somewhere relatively easy, somewhere safe. It's going alright to begin with here, I think. Okay, enemy reinforcements incoming. Now we're going for arcane conduits, cool. Good. Do we have, okay, we got these guys coming in over here. Yep, get over there, go sort that out. Escort all of these dickheads off the battlefield. Okay, cool, that's done. Move back, Let's get out of combat so we can get another charge in. Okay, could do some heals as well. It's not necessary. Completely, okay. Okay, this has actually gone a lot better than I thought it would so far. We've essentially taken out 2 of their armies already. That worked out really well. And we got everyone out of there as well. Cool, giving us some time to reorganize. You know, get set up for another charge. Because you don't want to stay in prolonged combat for too long without constantly charging. You really want to get that charge bonus off. Good. Was that Eltharian? Don't mind overcasting Flock of Doom, because it does double the damage and also gives you a lot of extra range, so you do get a lot of utility out of it. Don't be fighting nobles, it's a waste of time. Yeah, kill this guy over here. Okay, this one here is the most damaged. Let's try to get around flanks. Okay, let me reinforce coming in. Bounce power is even. Over here. Ah, fucking bloody came back. Come on, I told you to get out of there. Want to get them out of the forest. We don't fight that well in there. And also it gives us a little bit of time to rest up just a bit so that we can just heal a tiny little bit if possible. This guy, I think he got stuck. I might have to just get him off the battlefield. Or maybe go over that way. If you can chase some of them out that way, that could be useful. Okay. Alright, Dragon Princes. Cool. Cut off on them just fine. Alright, time to charge back in. Okay, specifically going for not anti-large infantry, ideally. So yeah, try to avoid the Phoenix Guard and go for anything else. Yeah, Eagle's going after us. I can't put him on skirmish mode, so okay, I've got this. Okay, Curse to the Minimite window over there might be useful. How are they going there? Fighting dragons and stuff, they're just not very good at it. Let's just try to get away from them. There we go, and some of our guys are a bit damaged. No one's been wiped out yet. You, yeah, you're doing just fine there. Good. Come on, come on, stop getting pinned down on the dragons. It's not worth fighting. What's this? Yeah, get rid of that. We're fighting Phoenix Guard here, but our weapon strength is penetrating them, so it's okay. I think the army losses will be fairly soon. Just try to ignore all their single entities because we're just not really great at dealing with them. Pretty good at dealing with the infantry. So that's what we need to focus on. I think there's the army losses. Okay, cool. Okay. Like, it did alright. It did alright. It did alright. Yeah. Alright, well, it's not a saving disaster battle, so I don't need to sit here and heal or anything. And we got a heroic victory. Okay. Well, I fought that battle a couple of times, and that was definitely the best of the rushes in. But the time where I used the wizards, it went better than this, and that was the first time I fought it. So that everything just went well there. But I've had some fights where half the army got obliterated because I've had to fight this one multiple times in order to like properly test this out, get a real feel for it. Because it's just not something that I would ever recruit this, and this hasn't convinced me to recruit it because. Like, it's strong, but you have to put a lot of resources into it. But it's not strong enough that I would say that it's better than Stegodon's. And since you're not really forced to get variety, I don't know. I'm just trying to think, like, what are the benefits of this apart from flavor? Like, if you liked Horned Ones, and this is a really good Horned One army. Don't get me wrong. But rating this as a Doomstack compared to what other Doomstacks the Lizardmen have, like, the problem is the bar is set really high by the Lizardmen. If I was to give this a 9 out of 10, that's ridiculous because, like, the strength of this army compared to a 10 out of 10 Lizardmen Doomstack, which they do have, they got like multiple 10 out of 10 Doomstacks. It's not even close. This isn't even close to their best Doomstack. Not even close. Like, there are Doomstacks you can make with the Lizardmen that could have fought that and just brush it aside as if it was nothing. And so we need to take that into consideration. So at the moment, I'm leaning towards a 7 out of 10 because, for one thing, this is a difficult army to use. Everything went fine there, but we still had to like constantly make sure everything was going well. At any given time, things could have just been a complete mess. Some of our units took a lot of damage and could have gotten wiped out. And these units here, if they get wiped out, very difficult to replace them. It takes ages. So that's a problem as well. So there's a lot of things to juggle with this one. And I feel like for all of its strength and for everything that he's done, you're just limited by the fact that cavalry do not make good Doomstacks. They just don't. The way to use it really well is to not use them. And to use them really well, they'll take loads of damage, pretty much no matter what you do, unless you're going up against something easy. And that's the fundamental problem of Horned Ones. So I think he has done an amazing job with this Doomstack. I want to make that distinction, which is why I covered it, because I can see how much effort he put into it, and he did everything right. But fundamentally, he can't get a higher score than 7, because this is just such a difficult army to use. It has so many weaknesses, and any of its strengths are covered by other units that just do better in the campaign. Basing this based on how much it costs is silly, because it's just not really a factor for the Lizardmen at all, I think. So, you know, I'm leaning towards 7, maybe 7.5 out of 10, which gives it the Doomstack status, but only barely. That's the problem there. I mean, let me know what you think in the comments below about this, but, you know, I would say that I could probably argue for an 8 out of 10. But anybody's just like, no, it won the battle, 10 out of 10. Then you just haven't seen the other Lizardmen Doomstacks, you know. The ratings are all based on relative to their own race's Doomstacks. It's just, this is nowhere near as good as a Pompous Doomstack. It is nowhere near as good as a Stegodon Doomstack. You know, if you recruit a Stegodon Doomstack and put this much effort into it, then Stegodons will perform this well. And the thing is, because they're single entities, you can sit there healing them after the battle and get heaps of, like, not be this damaged. And, you know, there's just so much more that you could do with the race that these ones here just can't really do. They're also not going to be very good in sieges. I mean, you can put these guys here on their Stegodon mounts and have them do most of the work, but again, you're rating the Doomstack based on not using the Doomstack, whereas Stegodons, as an example, Stegodons, Carnosaurs, even Bastillodons and, you know, Heroes, you send them into any situation and they perform pretty much the same. They're reliable in all situations. These guys here, small map, bad. Too many anti-large units, bad. Too many single entities, bad. Sieges, bad. Forests, bad. You know, there's loads of situations where they're just going to be like, oh, I really wish I didn't have this army here. And you've got other Doomstacks that's just like rain, sunshine, doesn't matter if you get ambushed or anything, they'll perform well. And I guess the biggest thing about it, and this is really, really important, is that it's not noob friendly. Not noob friendly at all. Like, a experienced player can do a good job with this army, don't get me wrong. But a beginner could take a 10 out of 10 Doomstack and essentially get the same results that I could do, because they're easy to use. But you give this to somebody who doesn't have good micro, and they will fucking die. They would have lost that battle because there would have been too much going on. They would have panicked and been like, ah, shit, and then just sat there and watched as all their units died because they don't know where to pull out or what. And it just would have been an absolute mess. So yeah, difficult army to use will always lose points. So I'm going to give it 7. I'll give it 7.5 out of 10. But I do really appreciate the amount of effort the guy put in. Anyway, that's the end of this one here, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. Appreciate you, and I'll see you next time, fuckers. Bye.